Oh.
He shat the bed. Hello there and welcome to Wednesday's edition. Who said that? That's a disgrace. Wednesday's edition of Movie News here at MBE. Profanity in this country at times is absolutely shocking. By
Well, a certain organisation did shite the bed tonight, Stephen, so it's happy days for us.
Yeah. Well, happy days here again, as they say. John, first and foremost, welcome to the show. Welcome to our YouTube channel if you've never been here before, and thank you for subscribing if you did, and also on our Twitch stream as well. That's the one. I always tempted to say scream for some reason. I feel it's screaming because nobody watches us on Twitch.
We've always got at least one viewer, Stephen. One.
Yeah, I wonder who it is. I always wonder who the person is that always gives us a thumbs down as well for every video. It's got to be the same person.
Yeah.
Listen, if you're out there, thanks for the view anyway.
They just hate us. I feed off that hatred.
This has been a terrible start to the show, John. But
Don't worry about it, Stephen. It can't get much worse than mine.
Well,
so.
John, it's going to get better because we finally got a name to Whitney Houston in this new biopic who's going to be playing it. Star Wars' Naomi Ackie playing Whitney Houston in the new biopic. This is coming in from Empire. And
that makeup artist has got a job in their hands.
I'm just going to...
And as ever, Stephen, we're in trouble here, so just bear with me when I go to yourself, because it's not going to be right.
Okay. We'll talk about, obviously, the aesthetics and stuff like that anyway. We always do this when we're talking about biopics and stuff like that, but more importantly, how much rights they've got to, obviously, do the music and all that, which we always talk about. Director Stella Meggie has the backing of the Houston estate. Yippee! And Bohemian Rhapsody's Anthony McCartan writing the script. So
fantastic.
It's already good news. And now she has the star she's been seeking. We spent the best part of last year in an exhaustive search for an actress who could embody Whitney Houston. Meggie tells The Hollywood Reporter, Naomi Ackie impressed us at every stage of the process. I was moved by her ability to capture the stage presence of a global icon while bringing humanity to her interior life. Well, John, that's the part of this biopic I'm very interested in. We're obviously going to see the sort of stage stuff as well, the sort of public image of the late, great Whitney Houston. Doesn't matter if you didn't like her music, John. What a singer she was.
Who didn't like her music? Come on.
What an amazing voice that lady had. Tragic end, of course, which we'll talk about that as well.
Her daughter passed away recently too. Am I right in saying?
Yeah.
Absolute tragedy.
Yeah.
It really is.
But we'll talk about that as well. We'll talk about how in depth you think they're going to get into this, obviously, this biopic, John. We've talked about it with Bohemian Rhapsody. We talked about it with Rocket Man.
Yeah, but I'll not be mentioning anything regarding Elton John on the show tonight.
I was going to say, John, we were talking about Crock of Gold as well, the Shane McGowan one. Crock of Gold, I said. And, of course, the David Bowie one, which I can't even remember what it's called.
The what one?
The David Bowie one.
Starman.
Yeah, Starman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's already a film out called Starman with Jeff Bridges, who's actually recovering from cancer as we speak, John. I'm glad to hear that because he's
got it.
He's
recovering.
He's one of my all-time favourite actors.
Is he playing the dude again? I think that was confirmed, wasn't it?
It was,
we're getting the dude back. So
hopefully we see him back.
Yes.
Up and running very soon. But John, back to obviously the article. What's your views on Naomi Ackie being cast as Whitney Houston? Because I think we did talk about it a few months ago, and that was one of the things. It's going to be a very hard act to follow, isn't it?
It is. Stephen, look, don't know a huge amount about her. Out with Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to lie. She's not been in a huge amount of movies. She's a fairly up-and-coming actor. She's only really had a career in the last 4 to 5 years. Dominated with TV shows. The Bisexual, the cleaning up, the end of the effing world. She was in Doctor Who for 1 episode. She played Jen. So, as an actor, I'm still getting to know her as an actor. But she was really good in The Rise of Skywalker as this sort of defected stormtrooper. The one that obviously Finn meets up with on that planet. I think it's the Endor moon, the moon planet of Endor. Yeah. So, she was okay in that. We've seen glimpses of what she can give. She was quite energetic. She's a charismatic lady. Your eyes are drawn to her when she's on the screen, so that's all the necessary components for.
It puts me in mind of Tessa Thompson for some reason. I don't know why. She's just got that kind of presence about her.
Yeah, she's got a presence, and that's absolutely necessary. If you're going to play someone larger than life like Whitney Houston, then it's absolutely necessary that you do have that charisma, not charisma. I'm doing an Alan Partridge here. Initially, did you notice I said that louder? No, you just says it completely different, Alan. That's what I nearly done there. you need that larger than life persona, that charisma to be able to sort of pull that off. I mean, we've seen it with Rami Malek, Freddie Mercury. Frederick was a larger than life chap.
Yeah.
Stage persona behind the scenes of the act as well, a larger than life chap. We've seen it with your man who done Elton John. Completely blanked on his name. Horrendous. He's a great actor. Taron Egerton. Jesus Christ, man. I definitely think I've got something going on
John,
with my brain. I think
his
Spartans destroy me.
The chap that played Han Solo as well. I always get their names.
Alden Ehrenreich.
Yeah.
Well, Taron Egerton done it as well, Stephen. He managed to sort of convey Elton John authentically.
Yeah.
But that was a different kind of movie. That was a sort of fantasy musical.
Yeah.
There was elements of fantasy bleeding into reality in that, and it told the story well. It was a different sort of when Dexter Fletcher wasn't it done that.
Yeah.
Still to this day, I can't believe he was in Lock, Stock, 2 Smoking Barrels. I seen that movie and didn't even put 2 and 2 together. It was the same guy.
He was good in it. Yeah,
he was good in it. He was damn good.
Yeah.
And obviously, Naomi's been cast as Whitney Houston, so the casting director and the actual person who mentions it in this, and I'm actually going to look her name up, Maggie. Yeah. Something Maggie, Stella Maggie. The director, Maggie, she spoke glowingly of her casting, also not a casting, a sort of audition reels, if you like, because this is an extensive process trying to get a part in a movie like this. This isn't a one and done. It's not like Joey Tribbiani. The South will rise again, man, and he's sort of needing the toilet and giving authentic performances of a guy that's quite on the edge. That's not what it's like in real life. In real life, it's extensive, the process. We've seen it with Star Wars, Kurt Russell and all, Christopher Walken, different people coming in.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford's doing the sort of Han Solo narration for Luke and stuff like that. You get an insight into just how extensive it is. Lots and lots of people come in, so she must have shown something to this director, Stella Maggie, to make her think that she's going to give a compelling performance as Whitney Houston. And look, you're right, man, what you says about the Bohemian Rhapsody. The man who wrote that, he's back on board to write this. So
Anthony McCartney.
Yeah. That was a excellent movie. I really, really did enjoy that. So if we're going to get that bleeding over into this, that can only be promising for this movie as well, because there's so many musicals come out recently, and it's on a bit of a renaissance. But we have had some shit ones as well. So,
John, one thing I'll say though,
that it's an immediate success.
Rami Malek and Taron Egerton are already well established in the field, you know, and I'm not saying obviously Naomi Akkie's not got the abilities. I think she has, you know, and I think this is going to be a massive gig for her. When you're doing biopics though, and you highlighted it there as well, the last few biopics and that, I imagine this Bob Dylan one that's going to be coming out, the Elvis one that's going to be coming out, are going to have that side where you've got the performance side that we all know and love from the artist, in this case Whitney Houston, but also the real life person as well. That must be an actor's dream to have that sort of
Steve, it's almost like Batman.
To have that range, you know, and have that sort of freedom to go out and play the persona, the sort of
putting a mask on.
You know, the version that we all see, you know, but also, you know, delving into sort of the darker side of the music industry, you know, and obviously our troubles with drugs, allegedly, relationships and that kind of thing, you know, and you know, fame and fortune, everything that comes with it, you know, the pitfalls of all these glamorous things that we see. There's also, you know, a negative side to that as well, and we're going to get to that. That must be an actor's dream to just get their hands into something like that, you know. And
again, that's probably what Rami Malek was looking forward to as well, and it never really transpired like that. It was a little bit airy, glossed over the more debauched sort of elements of Freddie's life, who he was going about and who on touring it and stuff like that, and he admitted it himself. He didn't care. That was the man's life. They kind of glossed over that, and I think that probably disappointed Rami Malek. I know for a fact Sacha Baron Cohen was supposed to be doing it. He laid down some ultimatums. I think it was Brian May and some other people in Queen weren't wanting that kind of movie, so it didn't happen. But I think that they've made an even better Bohemian Rhapsody than what we ultimately got. And the one we got was pretty good, especially considering singer and stuff like that and the stuff going on in the background. This one though, you're right, man. I mean, it's very intriguing, that sort of duology of the character as well. You've got the stage persona, you've got the actual person behind it. That's why I want to see a Michael Jackson movie at some point. It just has to happen. Has to.
That's another hard one.
Maybe even Amy Winehouse as well. She's been dead, 10, 12 years now? She was a quick meteoric rise, and then it was almost like Whitney Houston on steroids. Not quite reaching the height of a Whitney, let's be honest, but she got pretty high and crumbled probably within a couple of years of achieving fame. So it's something that's intriguing. not just the musical side, the success, but the actual flawed character underneath. And it's something that an actor like Naomi Ackie will be desperate to get her teeth into, because if she gets it right, you're almost guaranteed an Oscar win. If you get it, if you can nail the performance. Look at Rami, I keep saying it. So, and obviously, we're nearly getting the table destroyed here with the dog.
I think they've got all the right ingredients, John. So, that's the final piece of the jigsaw, getting the actress in to play the role.
The table's not meant to bend like that, Steve.
No, I don't think it is, John. I think we'll have to invest in a tougher one later next year. But
I'd invest in a pen for Harley.
A restraining order.
Yes.
But we're going to move on anyway.
Yes.
I'm sure we'll get more news as that project is up and running, John. But we're going to move on to our next topic, and it's all about Star Wars. We're coming in early today with Star Wars news, and
it's good news.
Well, for some, Star Wars movie announcements are more bad news for Rian Johnson's trilogy. Lucasfilm recently discussed new Star Wars movies, including Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, but it's more bad news for Rian Johnson's trilogy. Now, this is a lengthy article, John.
Man who sold his soul.
And I really wanted to really just capture a bit of this article. It's all there in Screen Rant anyway. Anyone who wants to go and read it on that lovely website of theirs.
It's always there.
So I'm just going to, I'm going to just read this bit here.
That was subtle, Stephen.
Yeah, it was, John. I know, but you're getting it there as well.
Watched the video today.
Yeah, it's a good video.
Yeah.
If Johnson was part of Lucasfilm's immediate future, odds are he would have been highlighted during the investor call. Instead, the studio indicated they were moving in a different direction by spotlighting a pair of other filmmakers. With Rogue Squadron taking the 2023 date, it's likely Waititi's movie coming out in 2025. That release window hasn't been officially confirmed, but he does have to complete Marvel's Thor: Love and Thunder before jumping to the galaxy far, far away. There's still nothing about Johnson's trilogy, which was initially announced more than 3 years ago. It's true Johnson was busy with Knives Out in the interim, but a long time has passed without any concrete developments. Investor Day would have been the ideal venue to shed some light on the trilogy, and it was ignored entirely. That hasn't been an official announcement about Johnson's departure like there was when David Benioff and D.B. Weiss left their Star Wars movies. It's just odd Lucasfilm chose not to mention him once at the event that was a showcase for an abundance of new Star Wars content. John, I think the reason, or one of the reasons, is because Rian Johnson's still vocal on social media about The Last Jedi and being butthurt about the criticism that film got. He's still going on about it to this day.
It surprises me, because the guy admitted that he'd rather have a movie that was divisive than a movie that was just beige.
Doesn't sound like it.
Yeah, clearly that's not what he wants. He wants sort of widespread acclaim and sort of spontaneous applause for these little bull-headed sort of ideas for Star Wars. So, bit of a shit talker is Ryan.
Yeah, but which
is ironic.
What's your take on this, John? Because we have talked about this Rian Johnson situation in the past, and we have always said, as far back as maybe 6 months ago, that trilogy is dead in the water.
It's dead.
And
it's deader than dead.
I still maintain that. I don't know if you do, John, but
he's not going to get a Star Wars trilogy. Not a chance, Stephen. It would have been announced.
Investor Day would have been ideal.
They announced Patty Jenkins.
Yeah.
They've announced TV shows as far as the eye can see for the next 4 years or so. No sign of Rian Johnson trilogy. The guy's trilogy is dead. It's finished, as they like to say down in the Ayrshire coast in Scotland. And I like to say it just to take the mick out of people from the Ayrshire coast, because Ayrshire people are the strangest people you'll ever meet in your life. Strange place. Even for Scotland standards, really strange. But it's finished, Stephen. Tangent aside about Ayrshire.
They do eat a galaxy far away.
Yeah, it's like it's like, if you thought that cantina in Ross Isley was strange, go down to Ayrshire. Wow. You'll see some sights in there that would make the cantina sort of patrons blush. But look, man, it's finished. He's not getting it, and I'm glad. I'll tell you why I'm glad, because he absolutely destroyed the sequel trilogy. And it's partly because of Kathleen Kennedy too. I say I'm glad, but look, I think it was just last night, maybe. I'm trying to losing the plot. What did I speak about Star Wars last night? I think I did.
Yeah, you talked about the new, or whatever, the High Republic.
Yeah, the High Republic. Yeah. I hinted. Well, I didn't hint. I commit flat out and came out and says it. He hinted, he hinted that if they did give him the trilogy, look, it's not get the 40 years of the monkey on the back, the mythology of the OG characters. It's not got all of that weight of expectation on it. So it may succeed because this guy can create interesting
He is
stories,
an
interesting
excellent
movies.
filmmaker.
Knives Out was amazing, Stephen.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. That's another reason I think it's dead, because he's already making plans for a Benoit Blanc, Daniel Craig spin-off, Who Done It movie. He's struggling to write it though, by all accounts, and it's definitely not going to be called Knives Out 2, but he's already got plans in place for that franchise, so I can't see him having time to fit in Star Wars. Lucasfilm don't want him because he's too divisive. If half the fan base hate his guts, call him a little bald-headed, round-headed. He's not bald, he's got more hair than me. Just that he's trying to cling on to it and I'm not. A little round-headed fool, and he calls them man babies, so it's too divisive, and they're trying to bring the fan base together. They're trying to sort of homogenise the franchise, and they're doing that with Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni, and using acclaimed directors like Robert Rodriguez and some less acclaimed ones like Bryce Dallas Howard. They're doing it to bring that all together again. They're making fan sort of specialised content for the fans now. I think they finally realised that to make a success out of this acquisition that happened 6-7 years ago now, maybe longer, you need to appease your key demographics, and doing that is not bringing Rian Johnson in for a trilogy when half the fan base hates him. So I think it's dead. That's what I'm saying. A long-winded sort of reply. Yeah. It's dead. It's John, deader than dead.
I get depressed when I think about this sequel trilogy. I really do.
Yep.
I've never known a franchise with so many missed opportunities and blown it every time with every opportunity they had. The problem with the middle part is, and I still maintain it has some of the best scenes in the sequel trilogy. Yeah. I was about to say Act 2. It wasn't Act 2. I hated that
Luke
whole
swinging across the chasm and drinking blue milk.
No, not that.
Out of the teeth of the big horrendous alien.
The big stick as well we put in the water.
Yeah.
No, rubbish. Just time wasting.
I tell you what though, Stephen, I'll say this for it. It did finally show us the more mundane side of Star Wars, because these guys don't do the toilet and stuff like that. They just zip around this galaxy.
Yeah.
We've got that in The Mandalorian too. He definitely has a toilet, so we know that he uses a toilet. So it kind of showed the more mundane element, and that's something I've always wanted to see, watching the likes of EastEnders growing up. These people never go to the toilet.
Yeah,
so, you know what I mean? Suppose
they never watch the telly at 7:30 either.
Yeah.
Just in case they catch themselves. But the thing is, John,
oh.
Lucasfilm have got to hold themselves responsible for that whole mistake of giving Rian Johnson too much freedom to do what he wants in the middle of a trilogy. A Skywalker saga trilogy, if you like. I don't even regard this as a Skywalker saga. But
there's no Skywalkers in it apart from...
and then hanging him out to dry by, announcing he's getting a trilogy. And I sometimes think that was an announcement out of spite, really. It was a response to the man babies.
Well, Stephen, they announced it before The Last Jedi came out, because we actually spoke about it a couple of weeks before.
Well, I'm talking
and I was excited. I was like, wow, this movie must be amazing. They're showing confidence in what they see.
When they announced J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson and Colin Trevorrow as the directors for that, I was excited. And I was most excited about Rian Johnson because of his previous work.
Yeah.
What I didn't think was that the studio were going to give him complete creative freedom in the middle of a story, especially a story that was left with a cliffhanger, a literal cliffhanger at the very end of The Force Awakens. Introducing probably the biggest character. I don't care what anybody says. Luke Skywalker is the biggest character in Star Wars history.
Yes, Star Wars.
I don't care. It's not Anakin. It's not Darth Vader. It's Luke Skywalker.
It's not Han Solo.
No, definitely not.
Nope.
Side character.
It's not C-3PO, even though Anthony Daniels would tell you otherwise.
And just the direction it was taken in. It doesn't surprise me, John. I don't think they want to embarrass Rian Johnson in a sense, but what they've done is with this, what was it called again that day? I can't remember what it's called.
Investors Day. Investors Call.
They have inadvertently embarrassed them by not announcing anything or speaking about it. After this big hullabaloo 3-4 years ago, when it was Rian Johnson's getting this trilogy and it's going to take it in a new direction, etc., and then not talking about it. I think that's very unprofessional.
Yes, but Stephen, that's Disney and Lucasfilm all over, and this whole handling of Star Wars since the acquisition. It's Kathleen Kennedy's presidency sort of tenure. In a nutshell, just so unprofessional. Hiring in filmmakers that don't marry with the tone and the vision you've got.
No.
It says David Beinoff and DB Wise, bring them in. You know they've got a certain comedic flair, and they like to ad-lib and improvise in the filmmaking process. And then you're not happy 3-4 months into the shoot when they're doing the very thing that you know they're going to do. That's her all over. Yeah. A shambles, doesn't know what she's doing. She shouldn't have been the president of Lucasfilm. It's a one mistake. He made 2 mistakes, giving it to Disney in the first place and actually giving her the presidency of Lucasfilm. she's not cut out for it. She's a good producer. Was it Frank Walsh? Frank Marshall?
Yeah.
Those two together producing, fair enough. Producing and actually running multiple projects and stuff like that's a different ballgame completely. She's not cut out for it.
No.
I don't know what the answer is because I don't know if Favreau would do it. I know Feige's certainly not going to do it. He's got his eyes on the big prize, maybe Bob Chapek or Alan Horner's job in the long term, so he's not going to do it. But look, you're right, man. That trilogy was a shambles, and it was her mistake actually employing this guy to do it. But look, I've criticised the multiple directors. Final thing I'll add in this trilogy, how it was discombobulated due to the multiple directors. But we've seen it in the actual Mandalorian that we've got different directors for every episode. But the one difference is common sort of vision, an overarching story. A process is there from Favreau, Filoni, whoever's involved. They've already got the story mapped out. The directors are just coming in, putting their own sort of fingertips on it, their little stylistic flourishes. But it's actually maintaining that sort of path that's already been set out. Didn't happen in the sequel trilogy. Discombobulated, no story. Directors coming in and doing their own thing. Sort of discarding plot threads and all the rest of it. A shambles because of it. So hopefully they've learnt.
Well, I hope so, John. But they can't repair what they've already done. You know, I'm fine with it because I live with the first three episodes, 4, 5 and 6 we'll call them, for a good part of the chunk of my life anyway, because I'm old enough to have that instilled in me. For a sort of younger generation, probably yourself, John, maybe even younger, the introduction of Palpatine in episode 9, a lot will see that as having a negative effect on Return of the Jedi, you know, and the sort of climax to that. It doesn't bother me.
I forgot about it already.
Exactly, I can just disregard it and say episodes 1 to 6 is the arc for me. And I don't mean that in a man-baby-ish way or anything like that.
Stephen, it makes sense because it's Anakin Skywalker's story. Anakin Skywalker ceased to exist after Return of the Jedi, so it ended. Everything else after that point is fan fiction. It's an elaborate, expensive fan fiction, but John, it's fan fiction.
How many opportunities in the 30 years since Return of the Jedi would they have had to get Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill all back to reprise their roles? It would have been a 1 in a million chance if you were talking
Harrison
about this
didn't want to do it.
Exactly. You know,
so it was a one-off.
I think Mark Hamill was fed up with Star Wars at that point as well. Obviously he didn't know the upcoming decades it would have been mostly voice work he would have done, but I think at that point he was fed up as well. Carrie Fisher had her problems as well in her personal life. She was becoming more of a writer anyway. She was moving away from acting, you know, and to have those three people back, you know, was such a major thing. It was a massive announcement, because I never thought it would happen, and then they do that with them. But we can't do anything about it. We can't do anything about it now anyway, John. The only thing they can do is move forward, and that's the one thing I do like about Favreau and Filoni. They're moving forward with the franchise. They're looking forward. They're starting to introduce new characters. They're introducing characters from animated series as well, bringing them into live action in a very clever way, I feel. A lot of people think Mandalorian Season 2 is a bit of a cameo fest at the moment. That doesn't bother me.
It's about to happen again. Final episode this Friday.
Oh.
Looking like we're getting another potential cameo from a Jedi, maybe closing up Grogu's arc. Suggestions that, no clue. Stephen, suggestions it could be a couple of characters. Some familiar faces from Rebels and stuff like that. Or it could be Luke. I hope it's Luke. I don't think it will be though.
No.
They won't announce it. Sebastian Stan's too busy. He's doing Falcon and the Winter Soldier. It's not going to happen.
I think something would have been sort of in the rumour mill.
Well, Steve, you knew about Rosario Dawson. I'd completely missed that. But you informed me of it. That excited me greatly. Then it came a week or two later.
Yeah, so. It was the characters. She was just made for the character, and the character was made for her. But we're going to move on anyway, John, to our next topic, and it's all about Tobey Maguire's Green Goblin. I don't know why it says Tobey Maguire.
Couldn't fit that in there. So I just put era villains.
It's Green Goblin and Sandman reportedly returning for MCU Spider-Man 3. Willem Dafoe and Thomas Hayden Church are reportedly in talks to return as Green Goblin and Sandman respectively for the MCU's Spider-Man 3. This is coming in from Screen Rant again. I'll just read a little bit here, John. Multiple disparate Spidey worlds were already set to collide in the MCU's Spider-Man 3, but it might be an even more packed affair with Willem Dafoe and Thomas Hayden Church reportedly returning as the Green Goblin and Sandman, respectively. Played by Tom Holland, the latest incarnation of Peter Parker first debuted in Captain America Civil War. He's since returned in 2 solo adventures and featured alongside other Avengers in 2 other team-up movies. When last seen, however, the teenage web-slinger had been framed for the murder by the villainous Mysterio, played by Jake Gyllenhaal. As if that wasn't enough of a cliffhanger, his secret identity had also been leaked to the public by your man
Jonah Jameson.
Yeah. John,
Jonah.
I always feel sorry for Thomas Hayden Church, because I don't think there was anything wrong with his performance as Sandman, and it was a great character, and I thought visually for its day, 2007 was it?
Round about then, yeah. 2004 was Spider-Man 2, so yeah.
So I think visually it was an impressive movie. I think the Venom sort of effects as well was pretty impressive for its day as well. Willem Dafoe, big fans of his anyway. Last film we both saw him in obviously was The Lighthouse.
You like me lobster though, Winslow, don't you? Say it!
Absolutely outstanding.
With Slytherin's tentacle tail.
But the question is, John, do you think that perhaps Spider-Man 3 might be going a little bit jumping the shark with so many people coming back?
I'm starting to think it is now, Stephen. I think they're maybe rocking the boat here.
Do you think there could be a part 2 and a part 3 of this story?
Oh, I love that. I'd love to see a multi sort of Endgame Infinity War set up with Spider-Man.
Part 1, Part 2.
Part 1, Part 2.
I said Part 2 and Part 3 for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, it's Part 3 of the actual Tom Holland Spider-Man experience. So
Spider-Man 3 Part 1.
Spider-Man 3 Part 1. Stephen, if it isn't, then it's starting to get a little bit crowded. I have to tell you, we've got Electro, we've got Vulture, we've got Scorpion, we've got Green Goblin, we've got Dr. Oct. Who else have we got? Is there anyone else I'm missing?
Your man Sandman, apparently.
Sandman, so that's 6. That's the Sinister 6. So it could be that it is the Sinister 6. So
we've
if that's
also got Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire apparently as well.
And then there's rumours. There's been long-standing rumours that Tom Hardy's Venom could be coming over at the MCU too. We've got Morbius, Jared Leto. So they're not confirmed to be coming in though. So right now it's 6. So it kind of works. That'd be the Sinister 6.
The 2 female characters, what they're called, Mary Jane and
I was about to say Lois Lane. That's Superman.
Yeah, I can't remember. It's can't remember her name now.
Is Zendaya's character?
Well, she's called MJ, isn't it?
MJ.
Yeah, but I think
is it Gwen?
It's Gwen Stacy, but I can't remember Emma Stone.
Emma Stone.
That's the lady, and the ginger one. I can't remember her name. The one
Kirsten Dunst and Emma Stone. Emma Stone's ginger.
Yeah.
Kirsten Dunst is blonde, I think. Maybe.
Not in the films or not.
yeah. Cause
naturally,
yeah. But Stephen, it's bordering on a little bit crowded now. But look, I'd like to see the Thomas Hayden Church character coming back because you're right. The one, although I'm about to say the one reason the performance maybe was criticised was the fact that the actual movie itself had too many villains. It pushed it too far. I know we had Venom. Was it Green Goblin?
Yeah,
was it Franco, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So there was 3 in that movie, and it kind of pushed it a little bit too far for villains. It came a little bit. It was bloated, and they couldn't do justice to all of those arcs. It just felt forced. Like, we've got a 3rd movie. This is the trilogy ender. Let's just fling everything at it and hope it works. Sadly, it didn't for Sam Raimi. It didn't work for those characters. It didn't work for Tobey Maguire. And look at that, Stephen. I don't know if we actually spoke about it, or maybe we didn't, or maybe it's just something we actually read about.
I don't think we did, John.
But the actual happy ending, happy ending, that's not even English. Let's say that again. The happy ending for Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield could happen in this. Now, they never had their tenure as Spider-Man concluded in how should I put it? A satisfying manner.
Yeah.
So they can do that in this movie. They can bring them back and finally conclude their stories.
The thing about Maguire and Garfield's arc was it wasn't concluded because Tobey Maguire was ready to do Spider-Man 4. Andrew Garfield was preparing for his trilogy end with obviously the tragedy of Gwen Stacy's death and the second one
and him being responsible
and that's obviously when the whole Sony thing they came to this agreement for Civil War. They had to just put an end to that arc, but this is a time where they can actually bring it all into the one storyline and the one timeline as well, and the one universe, which is going to be very interesting because it's very funny to think of those two incarnations as very separate things, which they have been for the best part of a decade and a half now. That they're actually going to be part of the MCU. These films did exist within the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Scott Derrickson said that.
Yeah.
Every iteration of Spider-Man exists. Every movie, every version of a character exists in the MCU. That kind of says how much knowing does this guy have after being sacked. But he clearly
exactly. Yeah, but I think he's right, and I think that was the reason we got into the Spider-Verse. I think that was to open a lot of people's minds up. I think there's a lot more.
Stephen, that's another thing. Do you want to see Miles Morales? Because I tell you what, people have been calling for a Black Spider-Man. We need to get that happening.
This is the chance, John.
Yeah,
this is the chance. I know people are going to naturally talk about Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's return, but that's a great opportunity as well, and it would open the door and open a lot of people's sort of fickle minds as well. That traditionally that Spider-Man should be played by a white character. It's not the case now, and deal with it. Into the Spider-Verse was a great animation. I want to see a live action version now of Miles Morales.
Well, Stephen, they can do it. They can introduce him here as a different variant of Spider-Man, and then he can go off to the Sonyverse.
Yeah.
And they can even swap them vice versa, depending on who they get in.
That's it.
Peter Parker can go over there, Tom Holland, and they can come back. If the deal doesn't get hashed out, they can bring Miles Morales into the MCU. So this is an opportunity for them to bring this character in. I want to see Miles Morales. He's a cool guy, man. I loved Into the Spider-Verse purely because he was a different take on the character. A more urban, confident guy. Peter Parker's a bit of he's a nervous Nancy. He's awkward.
Yeah.
Whereas Miles Morales was a cool kid. He was
streetwise.
Yeah, streetwise. So it was a different take, and I like that. So I'm looking forward to this movie. Hopefully they get the balance right. I've got confidence when Feige's involved that they will get the balance right. It's looking like a Sinister Six. It's not been confirmed, but it's all but confirmed. Sinister Six, 3 different Spider-Man characters, different female cohorts, Mary Jane and Bada, all the other ones, MJ. So same character, Gwen. We've got different versions all floating around. It's going to be very intriguing indeed. I cannot wait to see it. And Happy Hogan's got to be in there too. He's been in every single one. Yeah. And obviously Marissa Tomei's Aunt May as well. So it's going to be very intriguing, man. See where it takes us. The other Aunt May's. What's going to happen? What's going to happen with J. Jonah Jameson? He says he'd filmed the scenes. So
yeah, but who knows? But I'm looking forward to it as well, John. But we'll see how they handle it. It's going to either succeed or it's going to flop.
Yeah.
Either way. But we'll move on anyway to our second last topic of tonight's show. And this is coming in from OlympicChannel.com. We're not talking about sports. Well, we are in a way, but it's a biopic. And it's Dhyan Chand's biopic film on hockey wizard, expected in 2022. Now, John, we both like biopics. We like sporting biopics as well.
Yes.
And this movie has been produced by Ronnie Scrivala. The casting is still undecided. Now, I'm just going to read this. It's a very short article, but it kind of gives you an idea of the person it's going to be homing in on, and it's the 3-time Olympic gold medalist Dhyan Chand. It is all set to be born again on the silver screen. Titled Dhyan Chand, the biopic on the Indians hockey legend, will go to production from next year and is expected to hit the theatres in 2022. The actors are yet to be named. To be produced by well-known media entrepreneur Ronnie Scrivala, the Bollywood film will be directed by, it's Abhishek Tobey, who has co-written the screenplay. Dhyan Chand's son, Ashok Kapoor, an Olympic medalist and World Cup winner, was understandably drawn by the filmmaker's passion for the project. Again, John, that's very important when they're doing a biopic, is to get, obviously, the approval of the estate. There is no better hockey player to date in the world like 3-time Olympic gold medalist Dhyan Chand. Ashok Kapoor said the genius of Dhyan Chand and his achievements will be seen by the world and by the family. And I are thrilled to be part of this. Now, it was a tweet that Ronnie Scrivala did put out on Twitter on his official account, saying 1,500 plus goals, 3 Olympic gold.
1,500? That's not what I read.
That's according to him.
Here.
3 Olympic gold medalists and a story of India's pride. It gives us immense pleasure to announce our next with Abhishek Tobey, a biopic on the hockey wizard of India. Hashtag Dhyan Chand. What's your thoughts on this, John? Because
I think he's telling porky pies. That's my first thought.
Yeah.
Because it says on Wikipedia, and I know Wikipedia is not the source of authentic information that can be changed easily, but they say here, because I looked this guy up, he's very interesting. Yeah. He scored 570 goals in 185 matches according to his autobiography goal. So someone's added a 1 on at the end of that.
It could be a typo.
It's almost like Harshad Mehta.
The books,
Sitaraman. Sort of forging the numbers. It's a little bit dodgy there, but look,
Johnny,
very, very interesting guy, man. I'm reading up on him. They name the National Sports Day in India every year after him. So this guy has a real impact on sport over in India. He's a bit of an interesting figure. He came from a Rajput family, they says. 3 Olympic gold medals, as she did say. Not only that, his son has won. He's a medalist as well. I don't know if he's a gold medalist, but he's an Olympic medalist. So, and a World Cup winner. So, interesting sports family again. I keep making connections to other Indian stuff that we've seen, but Dangal, one man, I think he was a silver medalist. His 2 daughters become gold medalists in wrestling. It's something interesting about that sort of thing when it's a real story, a biopic, and you've got this acclaimed family, not just one man, but his actual son going on to success too.
Ronnie Scuvala actually said that there couldn't have been a greater underdog story than Dhyan Chand, and I can't wait to bring this film to the audiences. So he's very passionate, very excited about this project, and I can't wait as well, John.
That's what you need.
I don't know about yourself if you got it in school. I probably went to a slightly posher school than yourself, John, and we did hockey, and I loved playing the game. Absolutely, just
played it briefly, Stephen, on Red Ash.
It was very, same here.
Not the surface.
We weren't that posh with Red Ash, but it was a very enjoyable sport, John. It's a great sport to watch as well, but I think it's one of those sports that it's more enjoyable to play than actually spectating.
Like cricket.
Yeah.
I hate watching it, but it's great playing it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to start speaking about cricket because I know Indian people love cricket. I'm good friends with an Indian chap from Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh, and he regaled me of stories about cricket. So I know they love cricket. We're okay with it. We're shite at it though. So we don't like speaking about things we're crap about. Crap at football too though, but you won't shut up about that. So slightly contradicting myself. But Stephen, you're right. It's a great sport, and it's something that can maybe transition well over the big screen too. It's something that can be captured well in terms of cinematography. So certain sports are hard to capture. I mean, you wouldn't think wrestling would be a sport that'd be hard to, it'd be easy to capture, but they've done a great job in Dangal of the little slow motion shots. So that's something that would be even easier to capture. And in fact, he's saying it's a great underdog story too. That's always interesting when you've got a biopic of this nature. Seeing a rags to riches tale, and this guy going from probably nothing. I don't know enough about him to know that he came from nothing, but becoming a man who has his name sort of in the national sports day of a country the size of India, that is some success story. Yeah. And again, the family that he's had, man, his son's an equally successful guy. So this will be the second sports biopic, apparently. They've done another one. I think this may be Ronnie Scuvala, actually, Scruvala, who's actually done another sports biopic. So this guy has previous for making decent sports biopics. And there's always something, Steve, you're right about biopics. I love watching sports biopics in particular, though. The one about Clough, Brian Clough one. There's been umpteen over the course.
I liked Race. That was an amazing one.
Race, yeah.
I did a review on that a few years ago. But you're right. It's something very interesting about sports biopics. I think just sort of rags to riches, the underdog story. It's always
cool running, Stephen. It's not. I mean, it's kind of a comedy one, but it was still a great movie.
Yeah.
A Jamaican bobsleigh team.
Some factual stuff was happening in that film anyway, based on obviously what happened, But I'll keep my eye out for this because this is right down my street, John. I know you will as well, and certainly once we get a trailer out as well, I'm thinking that far ahead. I just can't wait to see how it's presented as well. But I'm looking forward to it. But we'll watch this space. We're going to just move on to our final topic of tonight, John, and it's all about Nick Stahl. Remember that chap?
Biter.
He
Schnell.
John, I remember him.
him saying that.
Maybe the mid 2000s. He was in a spot of ball. I think he went missing. I remember him going missing. I don't know. I've not read if there's any mention of it in this article, but he had a few problems, and I remember it was reported.
Is Nick Stahl still missing?
Yeah, but well, apparently he's not, because they've actually tracked him down to ask him this question. Terminator 3's John Connor.
Where was this from?
Would love to return for a sequel. I think it was maybe about 10-15 years ago, John.
No, he checked himself into rehab, Stephen. It was in May 2012.
All right, I thought it was a lot earlier.
Yeah, in December 2012, he was arrested.
Yeah. Bit of a John Connor himself, isn't he? Easy money. Terminator 3 Rise of the Machines star Nick Stahl would love to return for another movie in the Terminator franchise as John Connor.
So would Edward Furlong.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we know what happened to him. Poor Ed. But Stahl recently sat down with Comic Book to talk about his upcoming thriller Hunter x Hunter. When asked about returning to the Terminator franchise, Stahl explained that he hasn't heard anything but would love to return for another movie as John Connor. Stahl's full quote from his interview can be read below, and I'm just going to read that because it's very short anyway. He said, "No, short answer. I haven't heard anything about a new Terminator movie. I don't know,
very
man.
short, Nick.
I did one
What's your
film,
idea of short?
and I was there. So yeah, wish I had a more exciting answer for you, but that's it. I would jump at the opportunity. I love those movies. I grew up watching. There was only two before you. What are you talking about? I grew up watching Terminator movies and was just thrilled to be part of that role in that franchise. So yeah, that would be something I would love to do.
He's 41.
Yeah, he's saying he grew up with the movies. There was only Terminator 1 and 2 at that point, and John Connor wasn't in the first movie, the character. So, but I get what he's saying, John. Listen. You got to put yourself in these actors' positions. They're getting interviewed, and the interview is taking the opportunity to ask one of the most obvious questions.
Yeah.
And he's nice enough to give him an answer, although it's not a short answer. Nick Stahl for me is a very unlucky. He's a very unlucky chap in regards to the position of that character, because for so long. 91 to 2003, everyone knew Edward Furlong as John Connor. Someone had to step into those shoes, and no offense to Nick Stahl, but he's not a Christian Bale. No. He's not in that level of stardom.
Certainly isn't.
But one thing Terminator 3 did serve, and Nick Stahl, was to allow Christian Bale to come in without the sort of hang-ups that he would have had to have put up with. Why is Edward Furlong not in Terminator 3? Continuity is right out the window now. It's a bit jarring to see him like this. He doesn't look like him. He doesn't act like him. It's just a totally different guy. Yeah. And I can understand that. That's why I think Christian Bale, obviously for his acting ability, he's got the gig. No one really questioned the sort of... But he's nothing like Edward Furlong. No one asked that question because it's Christian Bale.
Yes.
Nick Stahl, on the other hand, came into the franchise. Terminator 3 is not the worst Terminator film in my book. It's still Genesis, but Terminator 3 is a remake of Terminator 2 to an extent, and that's where people have a problem with it. It didn't really carry the story forward, but like Star Wars sequel trilogy, it just didn't get to a point where it carried on the story or anything like that. But I think it was a good film. I loved the ending. I loved the ending to Rise of the Machines. Yeah. Very depressing ending, but it was a great ending. It was
the nuclear bunker, wasn't it?
And he wasn't the problem in it. I thought his performance was great. It was a good John Connor, but I don't think they're going to go down that road of reinstating him as John Connor. If they were going to do it, I think the first protocol would be Christian Bale. I don't think he would want to do it now. But the question is, John, Terminator franchise, this is where I'm getting at. How long do you think they have to leave this if it is coming back? Now, I know you said they should just probably bury it, but if it has to come back at some point, how long a gap would you leave this?
Infinite. Stephen, I wouldn't bring it back. I just wouldn't bring it back. I think it should have stayed a duology. When Jim Cameron was in charge of it, as soon as he walked away, dead, finished. Don't go back to it again.
Don't look it back in anger.
Don't get me wrong. I like. Was it Judgment Day? Was that T3? No, that was T2. What was it? Rise of the Machines, Terminator 3. I didn't mind it. Wasn't too bad. Wasn't the worst. Wasn't amazing. Wasn't a patch in the first two. I liked Salvation. I thought it was absolutely fine.
Wait
it was
till
different.
Your turn, bitch.
Wow. Is that the one with the female Terminator?
Yeah.
Rise of the Machines,
TX or something like that. Yeah.
She get frozen or something? I can't recall how she died. But that may have been Robert Patrick that get frozen.
I can't remember.
I can't recall how she snuffed it.
Yeah, crushed or something.
Crushed.
Skull get crushed, lad.
That's what always happens, isn't it? It was like Dark Fate.
Yeah.
Crushing a grinder. No, I don't want it, Stephen. I mean, there's been elements that have been okay in these movies, but they've never quite recaptured the brilliance of the first two. And it's because James Cameron stepped away to do other things. It's his brainchild.
Yeah.
When he moved away, it should have died. Fault. Yep. It is his fault because he keeps allowing these goons, aka Tim Miller, to come back. Goons who like to attack the primary demographic for not watching a movie.
Tim Miller's desperate for a Star Wars gig.
Yeah,
he's got all the right sort of credentials.
Absolutely, attack your fan base, alienate your movie to your core demographic. That's a way to make money. Well done, Tim, shithead. But look, Stephen, As a sort of more personal thing, do I think Nick Stahl is capable of coming back? Absolutely not. I've been looking through the guy's career.
Johnny he is appearing in this upcoming thriller Hunter x Hunter. Now, come on.
Look at the guy's career.
Yeah.
Oh, no wonder he went missing in 2012. I'd have went missing too if that's what my filmography looked like. We've seen movies after. I mean, he done Thin Red Line. That was a great movie, but that was 98. Things went down considerably.
That was before Terminator.
Yeah, Terminator 3 came in 2003, hot on the heels of Twist. Never heard of it. Sin City, he was in Sin City. Sin City was decent.
I recall that, yeah.
Sleepwalking, Quid Pro Quo, my one and only. As Blood Runs Deep, The Chameleon, Burning Palms. Everyone knows everything will happen before you die. Mirrors 2. Guys, it was the first
John,
Mirrors.
this is the curse of John Connor.
Calamity, Dead Awake,
Yeah.
Scopers, Afghan Look, 388 Arleta Avenue, On the Inside, Lock and Key. They've done a TV show about that now. What I'm getting at, in a sense, is that the guy hasn't had a career. Since it's almost like Robbie Savage. I'm feeling like John Terry here back in the day. I'll take criticism from people who have done something, but I'll not take criticism from people like Robbie Savage who haven't had a career. This is almost like what I'm doing. I've not had a career in film, but this guy said he's had a career in film, but it's nothing to write home about.
Well,
so no, he's not coming back as John Connor.
It's probably more impressive than Edward Furlong's career, to be fair.
And that's why Edward Furlong's not playing John
Yeah.
Connor either. He played him as his sort of 12-year-old self and then get shot in the back. I'll put one in your back. So it's not going to happen because they don't want the character. They killed the character off.
Yeah.
It's like Han Solo. He gets stabbed. He falls down a huge big chasm, and then the planet implodes. They don't want the character. They want to continue with this little Hispanic character. It's like John Connor light.
Yeah.
The actor himself isn't good enough to portray the character again, and Christian Bale doesn't want to portray the character again. Jim Cameron's fed up with franchise. He's walked away, and we've got shitheads like Tim Miller who are not capable of making a decent Terminator movie. So all in all, they should just wrap it up really, because it's dead and buried. It's finished.
It's terminated.
It's terminated and it ain't coming back, hopefully. If there's any
John, I've tried to do a
it won't be back.
Schwarzenegger accent and I ended up sounding like somebody from Dundee.
What's the OC again? It's terminated, Terrible. Well, I'm not going to slag Dundee. I stay in Glasgow. Come on to hell.
Yeah.
Glasgow's a shithole as well, so Scotland's just a shithole in general, guys. Don't come to Scotland unless you're going to the Highlands or something, somewhere that's scenic and picturesque. Or if you're coming to Glasgow, at least go to the nice bits, aka the West End and the city centre.
Yeah.
Drum Chapel, yes, and Denniston. Yes. Don't come to Glasgow, that's in the sense what I'm saying. And Dundee. I don't know how I get onto Dundee from the Terminator, but we did. It was thanks to you, Steve. But I'm done, man. I am done. I'm starting to ramble.
Dundee.
I am Dundee. Yeah. Crocodile Dundee. And on that note, I'm rounding up Crocodile Dundee. Wow, what happened to that guy? What is your thoughts, man, on Naomi Ackie starring as Whitney Houston in the upcoming, what is it, I Wanna Dance, a biopic? Is that something you think's a success? Made in heaven, a success made in heaven. A match made in heaven, a potentially successful collaboration. What do you make about Tobey Maguire? His villains potentially coming back to Spider-Man. Do you think that the bald-headed fool, aka Rian Johnson, he's not a fool and he's not bald, I don't know why I keep saying that. Do you think he'll get his trilogy? You think this new slate from the Investors Call poses some issues for Ryan's prospective sort of trilogy? What do you make about whatever else we were speaking about? John Connor, actor Nick Stahl, want to come back and portray John Connor. What do you make about the Dhyan? I'm trying to bring the guy's name up here. I've completely lost the article. It's a disaster here. Dhyan Chand. What do you make about that? Is that something you're excited about? There's something coming biopic about this great hockey player. If you've got anything to say, you can comment below and let us know what your thoughts are down below in the comment section. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it and subscribe to the channel if you want to see us doing this again in the future. And if you do, God knows why you wouldn't. If you do, you'll see more if you hit the subscribe button below. Guys, I'll bid you farewell. End the pain, the misery now by saying bye-bye.